And greetings. I, Meenu, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabhat Evam Niti Anusandhan Sansthan, Nayi Delhi, extend my warmest welcome to you all to IMPRI #Web Policy Learning. We are gathered here for the UPLGYF Urban Policy and Local Governance Youth Fellowship, an online national autumn and winter school program, a 4-month online immersive introductory leadership certificate training fellowship program organized by IMPRI Center for Habitat, Urban and Regional Studies, IMPRI Impact and Policy Research Institute, New Delhi. Today, we have a session on research methodology and how to tackle a case study. I would like to invite Professor Manjula Bharathy, Professor, Center for Urban Policy and Governance, School of Habitat Studies, and Professor at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, visiting professor at IMPRI. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Meenu, and thank you, IMPRI. So today, without much introduction, we will be just going because some of you were asking about the methodology and how to go about the methodology, basically an understanding about what is research methodology. So a very brief introduction to the methodology and a very brief introduction how to do the case study, and also a very short ways to how to go about to do the research. This is how the three things that I will be taking today. So I will start, sharing the. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, if you could go to the slideshow.
Yeah. Is it visible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So today what we are going to very, like I said, very brief, basically make you to understand. Some of you are doing a qualitative research for the first time. So how to go about the methodology? What is the difference between methodology and methods? How we are going to define between different components of the research design when you're trying to understand that it was this class is all about. So basically, when you are starting, so just remember that I'm going in a very brief nutshell. So when you're starting a research, one of the first thing that you want to understand is to operationalization of the research process, because you have to have a design, research design, and which needs to have a theoretical context. Because what we are doing when we are saying about research, the research is a systematic undertaking of the research process. So like I said, like when we are doing a research, all of us are doing research daily, like which dress that we need to wear, and which paper that we need to see, and which movie that we want to go. So we are doing research. But when you are saying a researcher, we are going through a systematic, internationally accepted process, and that is a design that has been there, which may be very rigid or flexible, but that has been an accepted process through which we call it a research design. So when we are going for a research design, we need to have, the research is coming from the existing body of knowledge. So whatever you are saying, you are trying to either take the operational concepts from the existing body of knowledge. That is what, like when we are saying, we're saying, please read the articles, please read the body of knowledge or the review of literature that has been existing in that, so that you will be able to see the gaps in the existing body or continuation of the existing body, or how you are going to add to the existing body of knowledge. So it is important to design the process basically from the existing theoretical constructs. So this is important that, because this is important because it is important to define the measures very accurately. So operational definition means, you are a researcher, you are actually basically you own the research, you are the creator of your research. That is very important, because whatever you're doing, you are going to the field, it is your data that you are getting, and you are trying to link that with the existing research, the existing theoretical understandings, and then try to come out with this operation. So you can operational define the terms, so it is important that operational definition, suppose you are trying to understand with the income. How, like income is important for the standard of living of the people. So income could be, like income could be a monthly income could be a income of the household, male household, or income could be the income of the women, people who are women who are there, or the female headed households, or income of the informal income. So you define that in my research, income means that. Or suppose, like that you are trying to understand the gender, the gendered aspect of a governance. Then you're saying that, okay, or gender and a city. You're saying that in my study, I am taking gender male and female. So you can define that what is the, but you each of the terms that is coming in the title, that is the key variables. See, suppose you're saying, okay, climate variable, climate resilience, or a community resilience, and a climate variability, and then the role of local governance. So what are the key terms there? What is community resilience? So you can say that in my term, community resilience means only looking at the adaptation perspective. I'm not looking. So this, in my research, the community resilience is only looking from an adaptive framework, not looking from a mitigation perspective. Or, like in my research, the climate variance means this. Or climate change means climate change, I'm only looking at the climate change, it is coming from the flood. Or climate change only looking from the heat wave. So then the moment you're defining, operationally defining that key variable in that particular aspect, then you will be looking for the theoretical constructs, looking for that. Suppose you are saying, like social vulnerability and then climate change. Social vulnerability could be, vulnerability from the caste, vulnerability from the gender, vulnerability from the differently abled. So it could be anything, right? So you say, in my study, social vulnerability, I only mean gender. In gender, I'm not looking at, different caste positions. I'm only looking age and gender. So you're defining that, operational defining that. In my study, I operational defining this key word as that. So that is the way you are narrowing, you are deepening your, because otherwise it is a huge thing. You won't be able to, any research study, even if it is PhD, we always say that, what is the operational definition? How you define that key variable of your title. So you have to take a title, that is a concept coming in. So from where the concept is coming, which, when you're saying about gendered social vulnerability from the Qatar framework, or the social vulnerability coming from the UN framework, or the social vulnerability that is given from the UNDP framework. So which social vulnerability framework that you are taking? So then you're saying that, okay, my concept is coming from, theoretical construct is coming from this framework. And in that framework, I am going to take a particular thing. So income, for example, income could be coming from any kind of framework, So then in that, I am taking income as a family income, monthly income, daily income. So that you are defining. Got the point? So you are operational defining. And once that the operational defining, then you have variable, independent variable and the dependent variable. Suppose you're saying that, okay, I'm trying to understand, local gender and the local governance. So you're saying that how the reservation to the women, representation of women in local governance and the empowerment of women. Okay. Now you're saying that the reservation as a independent variable, how the reservation as an independent variable is changing the empowerment of women. So that empowerment of women will be a dependent variable based on the independent variable. So independent variable and the dependent variable will change based on what you're making as a constant and what you're making as the one that has been affected with that constant variable. So you're saying that, okay, increase in income will change the standard of living. So then you are saying that the standard of living, whether the income is changing, so you can take it from the aspect. So one variable that explain other variables are called independent variable, and those that have been explained by that are called the dependent variable. So when you're saying that, okay, in my study, I'm considering this as the independent variable and these are the dependent variable. So when you're saying planning now, infrastructure facilities, how the infrastructure facilities affecting the mobility. Yesterday, the people are saying about last mile connectivity, whether the infrastructure facilities is increasing the last mile connectivity. So infrastructure facilities will be a independent variable, whether that is increased. And last mile connectivity across the segment. Then last mile connectivity will be an independent variable, whether the women are being affected by the last mile, are having the last mile connectivity, men are having the last mile connectivity, people who are living in the faraway places are having the last mile connectivity. So based on your questions, you will be having a dependent variable and an independent variable. And now you have a paradigm. When you have a research design, you have a paradigm. That means a framework, So you're saying that all of the things you may not be writing explicitly in your research paper, but you need to have a mental framework. What is the framework in which I try to analyze, So you can have when you're saying a theoretical framework, you can have a sociological theoretical framework. You can have an economic theoretical framework. You can have a cultural theoretical framework. You can have a post-colonial theoretical framework. So you can have different theoretical framework, even when you're looking at gender framework, for example, climate change, then I can say I am looking at from the feminist political ecological framework, FPE. So based on the framework, then you're saying you are trying to understand a model. So a model is, is basically speaking, when you're saying, you will not be saying in the paper, that is very important. When you're writing a research paper or anything, we are not saying, okay, my ontology is this, my epistemology, no one, but we should have a mental understanding that, okay, this is the framework through which I'm trying to understand. And because I'm taking this framework, that is why I'm going to take this methodology and this methods for that. The moment you say, for example, the moment you say that, okay, grounded theory, I'm taking a grounded theory as a method, immediately I'll understand, okay, that person is taking a qualitative research methodology. And then that person is taking a injective approach. So the moment you're saying about method, that implies that this is the foundational approaches through which the person is engaging with the research question. So there are four basic things. One is ontology, one is epistemology, one is methodology, and one is methods. So these are the research design through which you are trying to understand it, So ontology means it is basically, I'm not again going to go detail because this is a very, very detailed things which I take in the institute, one semester course is a research methodology. So here I am trying to take that in 1 hour. So it is actually, I'm taking 40 hours to take that class, but I'm just taking very, very important things that you can understand, So ontology means basically it says that, okay, what is there that you want to understand? What is the nature of the truth that you want to understand? What is there? What is the nature that you are trying to understand? Ontology. And epistemology means which is the approach. Are you using a subjective approach? Are you using an objective approach? The positive research methodology that we are saying is that the researcher and the research should be independent of each other. We should approach objectively. But the qualitative research basically says that there is always an element of subjectivity. You cannot take away yourself from the research because you are using your understanding to understand the reality outside you. So you will be there to understand it. For example, in the class, like now, we have 14, 15 participants. Each one will be trying to understand and analyze an issue from their perspective, where their ontology and their epistemology will be there, which is the subjectivity. So you will be having a subjectivity in understanding that, and that qualitative research is basically a subjective epistemology. Epistemology means production of knowledge. So you are basically producing the knowledge through your subjective perspective. And now this is very important for you. This most of the people have, even PhD students, when I'm asking methodology and methods, they always keep changing. What is the methodology? Methodology means what is the plan of action. See here we are saying that are you following a qualitative methodology? Are you following a quantitative methodology? Or right now are you going for a mixed methodology? So you can have quantitative methodology which have different kind of characteristics. Are you going for a qualitative methodology which again been generally accepted with a general understanding and a characteristics, and or you are going for a participative research methodology, or are you going for a mix of all those things? So it is important. What is the root? How, when you're trying to understand a process, when you're trying to understand, inquire about something, what is the process through which So you want to reach a particular place. You can go through different routes to reach that place. But you have to tell, okay, I'm using this route to reach that space. So this is where I need to go. To go that place, I'm using this route. So the research route that you're using is the methodology. And method to reach that space, what are the methods, to go there, you may be using a car, you may be using a bus, you may be using a train, you may be, sometimes you may be using a bus and a car together, or some may be using bus, car and walking together. So to reach that path, what are the methods? You're saying that, okay, now route is there. I'm going to take this route. But what is the mode of transport that I'm going to take to reach that path? Am I taking only one mode? Am I taking multiple modes? Or am I taking a combined mode? So this is where we're saying methods. What is the methods of, techniques and procedures using to collect the data? That is the method. So data collection can be, again, call it case study. Now is explaining. Case study could be quantitative, case study could be qualitative. So what is the method? What is the way in which you're collecting the data is important. So this is the, basically when you're saying thing, this is ontology, that is you're trying to understand a reality. So what is the reality? Why is it there? And epistemology, how can I know about that? How do I know? What is the way in which I'm trying to understand? Am I using statistics? Am I using numbers? Am I using quantitative measures to know the reality? Or am I using the qualitative information to know the reality? So what is the methodology? That is the epistemology. Then there is a theoretical perspective. What approaches, because already existing, like I said, are you taking a Marxian theory? Are you taking a post-colonial theory? Are you taking a modernization perspective? Are you taking an economic theoretical perspective? Are you taking a social perspective? So what is the theoretical perspective approach that you're using to get that knowledge? Methodology means what is the procedures? To get that knowledge, you need to have certain procedures. When you climb a step, when you reach a place, you need a different steps to climb. So what are the different steps that you're using to reach there? That is the modalities, procedures. And then what tools? Method means what tools can we use to reach there? And then what are the data that we need to, that is the sources, what are the data sources that continuously asking from where you are getting the data? It could be from a document, it could be from a journal article, or it could be from a site, it could be from a archive material. So what is the source of data that you need to say? So this is basically, what is the research? When you're saying about a research design, this is what the first two, that is, we are not explicitly putting that in the paper, but you should have a basic understanding. This is the framework through which I'm trying to understand. So ontological, what is out there to know for me? And then epistemology, how can I know about it? And then methodology, how can we go about acquiring that knowledge? And method means which precise procedures should I follow to acquire it? And then which is the data should I get to? So this is the way through which there is a systematic way through which you approach it. So you should be clear. So most of the time when you are asking the questions, then I can understand that understanding, how you are basically trying to look at the questions. Like when it's a research, it is different from a academic research is different from a journal article. You're writing something. No, this is different. You are doing a systematic inquiry to deeply explore into any kind of information, or in any kind of issue, event, or a body of knowledge which you would like to probe further. So what is that? The accepted process. So you need to have a basic understanding about this, and I can send you article to the IMPRI team, so that you will have a very basic understanding of how to go about it. So this is what, what we are trying to give is that there's an ontological assumption that you will give to epistemological assumption, and that epistemology, whether are you going for a quantitative methodology, are you going to a qualitative methodology, based on that your methods will change, and based on that your instruments of data collection. So when you're going to write a paper, this is very, very important. What is the methodology that I'm going to use? And that methodology will be dependent on your epistemological things, whether it is a qualitative, quantitative, mixed, participative, what methodology that you're going to use. And then that will tell you what is the method and what should be the data collection things. So this is what, when you're trying to understand, this is what we are saying about, Whether are you going for a paradigm, you are saying about, I'm not going to tell about all these paradigms to you because it's a huge thing. But basically, you have to understand whether, are you going for a quantitative methodology, qualitative methodology, or mixed method, and what are the strategies? Like we're saying method. Are you going for a survey? Are you going for a case study? Are you going for an ethnography? Are you going for a grounded study? Are you going for a focus group discussion? So what is the methods that you're going to use? That is the data collection things that you will be using. So when you're going, this is the basic difference. When you will be using both, maybe people are using quantitative and a qualitative methodology. When quantitative methodology, we're saying that is basically people are asking for, there will be a hypothesis and you will be predict and you'll be controlled. Qualitative methodology, most of you, I think, are using a qualitative methodology. Then you are taking experiences, situated knowledge, then you are exploration of the participants and approach naturally, like I said, epistemology of a qualitative methodology is always subjective because you consider yourself very important in the production of knowledge. The other one will be objective, and there will be a process. When you're going, you're saying that okay, now there is a process for the collection of knowledge. The other one context bound and getting close to the data. Sample will be participants, subjects, purposive sampling usually, and you will be having a flexible sampling that develops during the research. And the other one, we will be having informants. You'll be asking for a randomized sampling, and sampling will be fixed, and then frame will be fixed before. Then you're saying, okay, now I'm going to questionnaire survey. So what is the random? Are you going for a stratified random sampling? Are you going for a random sampling? Are you going for a purposive random sampling? So, and the sample size is fixed. I'm going to interview. I'm going to give the questionnaire to 100 people, 150 people. I'm going to get it. So sample size is fixed. But here, in the qualitative research methodology, we will be simultaneously analyzing the results. And then the moment we think that, okay, my data is getting saturated, I will stop it there. So then there is a flexible sampling that develops during the research. So then here, when you have a participant observation, you have a field work. The other one is a structured observation. And usually you will take with a statistical analysis with a number thing. Here it will be a comparative analysis with a thematic understanding. And outcome will be measurable results. When you have, you'll be having a tabular formats, so you are coming out with a tabular formats. Here you will be telling about an ethnography, you will be telling about a oral narrative, you will be coming out with a theory. So here, when you're going to the field, you will be having a more in-depth relationship between the subject. But the other one, you will be, giving the questionnaire, and then you will get the data and you will start. So that is the basic differences between. But then qualitative research, you are not going for a grounded theory. So because it's a grounded theory, it's immersive work. But most of you are doing case studies, or you're doing then a focus group discussion. You said you will be going interviews, so that is a thing that you'll be doing. So you are not going the phenomenological research. So I'm just skipping it. So this is the flexibility and meaningful. So you will be getting a more thick data. That is very, very important. Now, one of the things that I'm really, really, really telling you, that all of you, I heard that you're using a primary data. And the moment you're using the primary data, you just listen to them, and then the primary data, like what the subjects are saying, and then just reproduce that data. Because, suppose people are saying about their issues of, the transport or the planning, what the people are saying about the vulnerable group of people are saying about the planning, violence in the planning of the cities. And the people are saying about how the right to the cities has been affected because the planning is not done with a sensitive planning method. So then the people, you are going and interviewing those people, because I heard about someone is doing something on the Dharavi relocation. And then who are the people that are going to be affected? Who are the people who think that they will be able to take? And who are the most affected people? Take their interviews, take their verbatim thing. It is always this voices from the margin is very important, and then trying to connect that voice of the margin to the existing theory. How you are able to see the primary data that is coming from the field, situated knowledge of the people, embedded experiences of the people, connect that with the theory. That is where, you can see yourself flourishing, or, coming out as a researcher where you are trying to see the field with the theory, practice with the theory. We are coming with a praxis, knowledge of praxis, where you are trying to have a dialogue with the theory and the field. That is something which is very, very important. Now, so this is it. So any doubt in this? I'll go to the case study now. Any questions on this section, please ask me.
Ma'am, I had a question. It's on what does it mean when one says?
No, I'm not able to hear you. I think I will, I will stop it because I'm not. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What is the doubt that you're asking? Tell me.
So what
louder.
does sure, ma'am. What does one mean when they say constant comparative analysis?
Constant comparative analysis. Where you would like to do this constant comparative analysis?
So I wanted to know, like, how do we look at the constant? What is the constant there?
So you are saying, that is what I said, no? You have to understand the importance of the variables. When you are saying one is an independent variable and other is a dependent variable, so you are keeping one as a constant thing and other as a one that has been changing. So you are keeping that. See, for example, right now, I'm trying to, I'm going to do a study of climate change and gender with Africa and Asia. Right. So climate change and gender, I'm taking a constant way of, so in gender, I'm taking certain things like an intergenerational caste. There I'm taking race or I'm taking gender. So to understand the intersectional framework in gender, I'm trying to take certain variables which may be different. But there I'm taking that as a constant one. So here I will be taking age as a variable. I will be taking caste as a variable. I will be taking the occupational one as a variable. I will do the same one there and see that how that keeping the variable same, how this keeping the variable and then comparing that with a different context. That could be a continental context that I could do within what happens. See, for example, when I was again doing the study of gender and governance across 7 states in India, then I made a certain gendered metrics to understand. And the same metrics I tried to do in all the 7 states. So I tried to do a comparison with the framework of analytical things I have developed and see that how that has been used to compare. Then I can see that with the same governance framework that is there in the 7 states, how the socio-economic political context of the same people, so the different regions are being varied. So with a constant thing framework, I am trying to compare it. Did you get it?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other question? Any other question? Can I go to the case study now then?
Yes,
Hello? I think I'm audible to all of you, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So I'm asking you, should I go for the case study now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. So case study. So when you're doing all of you, I heard is also doing a case study. So that is what I thought, like a basic template of understanding a case study will be good for you. When you are doing a case study, then the most important question when we are doing a case study, what is happening or what has happened? You are asking for an explanatory question. How or why did something happen? So what you're doing to do with a case study, you're going to give a very rich description, thick description, and insightful explanation that comes from the case study. When you're looking for, like other, see, suppose when I'm saying about again, gender and a climate or a gender and a governance, I'm saying about a different kind of insights that is coming through it. Then I'm saying, okay, now I would like to see that how caste as a factor, then dialogues with gender. So gendering caste becomes important for me to address it through an intersectional framework. So I will then take, okay, a Dalit elected representative, Dalit women elected representative. And then I will choose, a Dalit elected women representatives in different places as a case study to see how the Dalit and then the gender as a intersectional framework is changing the gendering governance framework. So here what you're saying, so then that if I'm taking a case study of 2 or 3 people in different places, that will give an insightful experiences of the ways in which the gender and then the caste is speaking with a governance perspective, local governance perspective. So it is important to see, get a insightful data, thick data, rich data about a particular thing. That is important when you are doing the case study, which to connect it with the real world context. So case study is an in-depth exploration from multiple perspectives. So you can say, like when you're trying to understand a case study, you can look at a subject, and subject is positioned through a social dimension, economic dimension, gender dimension, caste dimension. Suppose if I'm saying a COVID, in a COVID, I'm trying to see that how the women in certain segments are able to cope up with the COVID. Hello? Yeah. So in a COVID thing, I'm trying to understand how certain groups of people, certain segments of people, then we'll say that, okay, COVID, then what is happening to their livelihood thing? You are looking at the economic dimension. What is happening to the social relationship of the people during the COVID time? You're looking at the social dimension. What is happening to the gender dimension of, the relationships? What is happening to the class dimensions, So you can look at a issue from a multiple dimension, so multiple perspectives, and that will give a very thick data. That is what I said, thick data. So case study could be about a person, a place, an event, a phenomenon, anything that you need to understand. A case study examines a single subject, or a case study can also be a comparative investigation, like someone was asking about, that shows the relationship between 2 or more subjects. So when I'm saying about a COVID, I can say about, okay, how the COVID as a independent variable is affecting men, women, children, and the adult. So case study with, with an elderly person, with a school going kid, with a college going person, and with a house maid servant that is coming from a different social dimension, and a housewife, or a working woman and a working man. So how these relationships are been changing, so that you can use a comparative analysis also. This could be quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method. Case study is narrative. It needs to be, very importantly, case study should be followed by thick description, because it also discusses about the historicity. See, like I really would like, all of you to do the research from a historical perspective, because nothing happened on in the thing, when you're saying about now, this is the way in which the things are now. It's also, you need to position that a little bit about its archaeology, about its history, from where that it is getting that present. That is what we continuously saying about archaeology of the present. It is very important. What is your present? No, because the place where you are standing is actually coming through a layers of things that has been made as that as the root. No? So it is important that, okay, now, for example, I can ask you that immediately, if I tell you, what is the immediate image that comes to your mind when I speak about education? What is the immediate image that comes to your mind when I speak of education? Participants?
Ma'am, to learn something.
Image.
Education.
I'm not asking about an abstract concept. What is the immediate image that comes to your mind when I speak about education?
Notebooks on a bench.
Notebook and a pen, fine. So, but you know that education has nothing to do with a notebook and a pen, right? And our education, as you know, because the moment is saying how the education becomes synonymous with the classroom. We were having informal education. We were having educations beyond that, you know. So now, how come the education is being synonymous with a notebook and a pen? You know, and then there is a historical way through which education started being replaced, or pen and a classroom started replacing with education. So what was the concept of education? How through the point of time it started changing. So all these things, that is what I'm saying about a historicity of an event. That is what I said, archaeology of the present. What is that present what we are saying about? And then present has a past, history. So try to understand at least that you will be getting through the review of literature. And how then you are contextualizing the study. Very important. When you're saying the study is coming from the vacuum. It is, you know, like anything that you're saying about, you know, any context. And that context has a history. So contextualizing the place, it is very important. So it is important that how to get a qualitative data, intangible, immeasurable qualities, so important in any evaluation. So now, when you're looking at a case study, there are different patterns of case study, you know. One is a retrospective case study, you know. So that is what I said. It involves a collection of data relating to a past phenomenon. Suppose, you know, I want to see that how the freedom movement has changed the gender relationships, how freedom movement has changed the land relationships, how the structural adjustment program has changed the social relationships. So I am trying to look at a past event and trying to see the collected data of any kind, you know. And so looking at the phenomenon, situation, person, and studying it in its historical integrity. Snapshot studies, cases being examined in one particular period of time. That is, I said, you know, like let's see now election. Now we know that Maharashtra election is happening. So what is happening during the election period? You know, at a particular period of time, you know, such as the current event, a day in the life of a person. So we are trying to see that, okay, now the candidates, then what is the way in which, you know, women are campaigning, men are campaigning, or people from a different caste are campaigning. So we are trying to do a snapshot of different case studies and trying to see that this is how, you know, like so much money is coming from so much people, so much money. So we are trying to do from a snapshot thing, that is at a particular thing, or a diary. And diachronic studies, that means, you know, over a period of time. For example, climate change, we are doing about it. So what is happening to 20 years back? What was the nature of flooding in a place? And 40 years back, what was the nature? And today, what is and heat wave, whether the people are experiencing the same heat wave 60 years back, 40 years back, 20 years back, present. So across a period of time, longitudinally, we are trying to understand across a longitudinal time, that is a diachronic studies. Nested studies, you know, then comparison, like we are saying about, you know, now I'm saying, okay, it is, you know, like that. See, I am trying to understand the way in which, you know, the gender, or, you know, the way in which gender is affecting the gender participation. The participation of the people is affecting the politics, you know, or the local governance. You're saying about urban local governance, whether the urban local governance is being, the quality of the participation is being increased with the increase in the dialogue between corporators and the citizen. But the citizen participation increases the quality of the urban local governance. We are trying to see that whether citizen part, because we are saying about an inclusive democracy. So we try to see that whether citizen participation is increasing the quality of urban local governance. Then we try to see that, okay, now what is it we are trying to see? Citizen participation in planning, and citizen participation in infrastructure development, citizen participation in designing of the city, citizen participation in conducting the ward sabhas, citizen participation in making the plan document, citizen participation in monitoring and evaluation of a project. So we are trying to make a nested study to understand that how the citizen participation, where in the designing of the project and implementation of the project, and the maintenance and evaluation of the project, or conceptualization of the project. So we try to understand it through the nested thing, not one, but understanding in its different things and having a nested study that is called a not one but multiple nested elements, And then when you're saying about the case study, you also need to see that how the study is leading to anything that you're saying, what a kind of theory that it is leading to. It is saying, are you saying about the case study that is not giving any important theory? Then there are case studies, that giving unexpected path. For example, when you're looking at this issue of, LGBTQI, because till now we are not saying about much of the, even now the people are exploring new even new lingos are coming up, new languages are coming up. Why? Every time people are doing through the embedded experiences of people, lived experiences of people, and bringing in a new epistemological perspectives to understand it. Now climate change we are trying to understand. The moment you're taking social vulnerability into climate change analysis, we are getting new perspectives. We are trying, till now, gender was not taking as an important part of governance thing. Now you're trying to bring in gender, then it's giving a new perspective. So you're able to get a new perspective to understand it. And theory testing, that means it's already there. With the change in time, is the theory still holds good. With the present theory, we also try to test the theory. Used to determine whether further. And now, like certain theories, for example, we are saying that, okay, now this is what we are getting. Whether more theories, more studies are needed to explain that, understand that. For example, in most of the cases, tribal studies, whether we need much more theoretical base to explore more into that. So that is another building block. That is, like I said, nested theories will be explaining to building block. So you will be having different things coming up. For example, I said about COVID, or you can say about urban local governance. Urban local governance, when again in this class itself, see, urban local governance, we are looking from the housing perspective. We are looking from the financial perspective. We are looking from the mobility perspective. We are looking from the planning perspective. We are looking from the marginality perspective. We are looking from the gender perspective. So urban local governance, we are trying to build looking from the multiple dimensions and perspective. So it is important to see that how you can build these blocks using the different perspective to have a comprehensive thing. So how to go about it? First step is to define what you want to understand. What you're going to study. Why should I choose? When you're saying case study, what I'm going to understand through the case study. You should have a clarity. Most of the people I said that, okay, I take a case study. Case study to study what? So by taking a case study, I should be able to get a detailed, insightful, thick data of a particular thing. So what should I need to explore? What should I need to probe into? So that is important. The first step is to define the case. What is it that you want to explore? And then the case is bounded by a bounded entity that you will understand when I go the next step. So case and its context. So when you're saying about, that is what I said last, like when you're saying a case as a subject is embedded in a context. So case is a text. And you try to understand what is the text speaking to the context. So anything that you're trying to see, we said that we are trying to understand a person or event or institution or a series of events. Everything is being embedded. You are trying to understand an educational institution. You are trying to understand a primary health center and how it is working in a tribal place. You are trying to understand Anganwadis, how they are working. Someone is trying to understand the Kudumbasri and how it is working. Someone is trying to understand, way in which certain education institutions are working. So you are trying to understand persons, institutions, events, but everything is embedded in a socio-political, economic, cultural context. So you are trying to understand what is the context of the text and context, and then what is the theory? Very, very important. What is the, as a proposal, all of you need to come out with, what is the conceptual framework? And conceptual framework will be coming from a theoretical framework. So like I said, when you're saying about a topic, all of you, then you say, sir, these are the key words in my research title. And these titles are not, you are getting, these are all concepts. When you're saying inclusivity, gendered inclusivity is a concept. So which are the theoretical things, theoretical explanations that you are using to get that construct? So inclusivity, are you looking at it from an administrative framework? Are you looking at it from an operational framework? Are you trying to look at it from a social framework? Are you trying to look at it from a gendered framework itself? So you need to understand the theoretical framework that gives the conceptual framework. So that is deciding whether your case study will consist single. So I feel, you should not go for as we have a very limited time. So I strongly suggest all of you go for not going for a nested study or a diachronic studies, go for a single case study, and that will be interesting. And now please see, this is the design, when you are saying you need to have an object and a subject of a case study. The moment you are understanding what is object, what you are going to study is your object. Suppose I'm trying to understand a Dalit woman and then the experience of the Dalit woman in during COVID time. So the Dalit woman becomes my subject. I'm trying to look at a municipality or a corporation and how the corporation is working during a climate crisis or during a disaster. How the local governance is performing during a local disaster. So that institution becomes my object of analysis. That here the woman becomes my object of analysis. I'm trying to understand a new education policy and how it is changing the educational things. I'm trying to look at a policy and I'm seeing how this policy is impacting the practices. So policy becomes my subject of analysis. So the moment you are looking at the policy is not coming from a vacuum. Policy has a history. How come, from where the policy is coming? Whether similar policies existed before. How come this policies is different from the previous policies? What is this? How this policies is different from the previous policies? Whom this policy is trying to address to? And what are the different dimensions this policy is bringing in through this operational difference? So everything you need to understand through its historical context. So then that will be your subject, and then object will be your analytical framework. And subject will be what you're going to study. See, suppose you are trying, say, about a photograph. You are framing a photograph. So frame will be your object and the photo will be your subject. So you are trying to see the analytical framework within which your subject is embedded. So object is the socio-cultural political framework in which the subject is embedded. So when you are going for a case study, you have to say about what is the socio-cultural political context of that space, context of that person, context of that institution, context of that policy, and says that this is where I am placing my study. Did you get the point? So a case study consists of an analytical framework, which we call as an object, and within which the subject is understood. So it is important to bring these two together. So this is all, these are the methods. You can have a direct observation. You can go for an interview. This is the way in which we said that, okay, now the source of data collection. You can have a direct observation as a data collection. You can go for an interview. You can go for an archival method. Plus, suppose I would like to do a case study of a past. I will be using an archival methods. I can use a document. I can use a participant observation. I can use a physical artifacts like, download of the employee's work. We are not going for a time series analysis, so I'm just skipping it. And then now, finally, Anything that you would like to, any doubts on this? Now I'll say about, how you need to place yourself for the proposal that you're saying, what should be the basic format. Any doubt on this? Can I go for the next one? So when you're going for a research proposal, you will be, now this is what you will be writing now. You will be writing a proposal, and you have already submitted an abstract, but it also needs to come out, now you need to work on that abstract and come out with a proposal. So what is it? That the key factors, variables, concepts, and interconnectedness, you need to be clear about it. That is the uniqueness of a researcher. See, you are saying now, okay, gender is there, but how gender is connected to climate change, or how gender is connected to the local governance, or how, when you're saying about, you're saying about occupational vulnerability, how occupational vulnerability is connected to the performance indicator. How, so you are trying to have different kind of variables, how mobility and gender are connected together, how social vulnerability and gender are connected together, how urban local governance and housing are connected together, how the financial devolution and the performances of urban local governance are connected together. So you're bringing two concepts and see that, okay, how these two concepts are connected together and to give a new concept. But that is where the ability of you as a researcher coming in, because you are taking two different concepts and see how this in the field, the two concepts are speaking with each other, from which has been informed by two different or multiple theoretical concepts to give altogether a different framework or a body of knowledge. So it is important to see how the interrelatedness. So to understand the interrelatedness, you should be very clear about what are the concepts. That is what I said in the beginning. These concepts need to be operationally defined, and these concepts are coming from this theoretical concept, and these theoretical concepts are getting through the concepts and the conceptual mapping and the theoretical. And conceptualization comes under the, you don't need to do the ontological thing, but theoretical framework, it is very important. What is the theoretical framework that informs it? You can have multiple theoretical framework. For example, when I'm saying about, water scarcity and sanitation, water scarcity and sanitation in a place are connected. So water scarcity, I can use it from a hydro-social framework. Water scarcity, I can use it from a feminist political ecological framework. Water scarcity, I can come from a Marxian framework. Water scarcity, I can take it from a post-colonial framework. So then I am taking certain concepts from it and trying to bring these concepts and saying that my conceptual things is been informed by this theoretical understanding. So a conceptual. So first of all, how to go about it? Identify the concepts. That is what I said. It is very important. The concepts could be from one theory or from multiple theories. When I'm saying about gendered governance, I can see the gendered governance is a concept. I could use that using multiple theoretical concepts to bring the gendered concept, gendered governance concept, and then operationally define the concept, saying that in my study, I am understanding the gendered concept from this dimension only. So undertake, first of all, bring out the concepts and then operationally define the concept. So bring out the concepts means you should theoretically say that I'm taking this concept from such and such a theory, and then operationally define that concept and then make it tailored to your research. Then once you have there what to understand these concepts, what are the variables that I need to understand. When I say that, okay, gendering governance is a concept that I need to understand. Okay, gendering governance, what are the variables? Am I trying to look at the participation of women in the project, or participation of women in the Gram Sabha, or how many projects are there, women-centered projects are there, and whether the working participation of the women is increasing because of the gendering governance, whether the women is getting more freedom to access the public spaces because of the engendering governance. So I can have multiple variables to understand this concept. So what are the variables? And both a dependent and an independent variable, and then how they are interconnected and related with each other. So these are the template. So what is a template? What is your research problem? So you have to say, this is my research problem. And your research problem will be having different variables, like understanding the mobility, understanding the gendered mobility, to know about the inclusivity of a city plan. So gendered mobility is a concept, and city inclusivity is a inclusive city plan is another one. So how then the two concepts are speaking with each other, then you will be having a lot of theory which speaks about gender mobility. Lot of theory that speaks about, inclusive city plan. Then what are the theories that you would be using from that? And based on that, to understand the gender mobility, I will be using so and so variables. Here I will be using so and so variable. How these variables are connected with each other. So define the research problem, then the research problem in the context in which you would like to do the research. What are the conditions? Use the conceptual framework to enlist the variables, bring the theoretical concepts, and then use and then that is where we are continuously giving you the articles that whatever that you are saying, it should be informed by the review of literature. So it is not like, you are saying, everything that you need to say need to be informed by the existing body of literature that is there. And then you have to say about your methodology, and you have to say about your method, you have to say about your data collection tool, and then you have to say about, how it is important for the urban policy and governance, and then the scope and limitation of the study, ethical consideration, and references. Any doubts in this?
Ma'am, I have a question. So when we design questions to ask the participants in an interview, should we refrain from asking leading questions, or should we essentially know the information out of them?
See, that is depending upon your methodology, right? Are you going for an open-ended questions? Are you going for a closed-ended questions? So that depends upon the research questions that you would like to know. That is exactly what I said, Are you going to go for a qualitative? If you are going for a qualitative research methods, you most probably will be going for the open-ended questions. And open-ended questions in what way? Open-ended questions it is, Suppose you are going for looking into the sexuality discourses, then there is very important, like we're saying, about certain ethical considerations that you need to keep in your mind, and with whom you are going to ask the questions. So before you are going to ask the people, you should at least have a basic understanding of the subject with which you're going to ask the questions. Otherwise, the people are not going to answer your questions. So the questions that you are asking me will come to the third level, that whether I need to ask a leading question. But what question should I ask? Then comes, what type of questions, and then I should have a leading question. So I should be able to have a certain understanding about the people. And in certain cases, you will go there immediately. Don't ask for the leading questions, because then you as a researcher will be giving the question, and you will be, whatever you want to get, you are getting through by putting the question. So
Sure.
you need at least, like go 2-3 times there, see the people, whether how they are going to respond to it, and if the people are responding that whatever you are saying, then you have to slowly, but in the first instance itself, if you are going to have a leading question, that means you are asking the people or trying to elicit the answer in a way which you would like to get an answer. It is a very bad research practice. Any other questions? Any other questions? So what is the framework with which, time framework in which you have to do this paper? Hello?
Ma'am, on December 12th, Thursday, we have fellows creative project presentations and discussion.
December
12th.
12th.
Yes.
December 12th, you have what?
Fellows creative project presentations and discussion.
Presentation means what you need to present there?
I believe it's the creative project component of it.
What do you mean by creative project component?
So-
They can present in any format, be it visuals or videos or anything, maybe even art. So they can present so in any
But
format.
that is the format, right?
Yes.
I'm not, like that format could be anything. I'm not interested as a person who will be supervising your work. That could be anything. But what is important is that what is it is important. No, you're looking at how is it that you can look at what is it, what you're going to do, what you're going to present. In what format, I'm not, like whatever format you are interested. But what you're going to present, what will be the content? That is what I was asking.
Ma'am, the content will be the research topics, whatever the participants have chosen.
Topics. So topics there, what they are, like topics they are already chosen, no? So
Yes.
are they trying to come out with a research design? That is what I'm asking. Will in that thing, are they coming out with a research design, their theoretical constructs, their conceptual mapping? What is that, What is it that they're coming out with that?
I'm not sure, I think.
So, like that is what I'm more, keen about. See, you can have a very interesting way of, you can have a podcast, you can have a series of photographs, but anything that, but then that needs to have a, why is it, the politics of that research, what is the research design of it, what methodology you're using, what is the data collection things, and what are the theories that you're using to understand this, what is the concepts in it, how you are doing the conceptual mapping, how you're coming out with the theoretical mapping.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. So what we would be planning is tomorrow the fellows will be asked to submit their extended abstracts by the end of next week. That extended abstract would have all the required information of the research design, the tools.
So,
the
okay, now,
theoretical
okay, thank you. So now, like, so in the extended abstract, that we will have a one-to-one talk, maybe not in a, here, that's not in a Zoom link, but, if the phone is there, that is how, like I used to talk with my research students. So once you have it, that one day, like if I can have the time, some 3-4 hours, then where each one of you can call me, and then we can have a discussion on, what will be the theoretical, what should be the concepts, what are the theoretical framework, what is the conceptual framework, and what is the methodological framework, and how you're going to do analysis. So once that is clear, then you can go to the field and do the analysis. IMPRI team, is that okay?
Ma'am, by what time would you like to conduct this meeting? Like, then we'll have to figure out the future timeline also.
See,
for
I
other
need,
solutions.
like basically, like you are saying about, if they're coming out with a design, research design, research design, once it is ready, then only I need to speak with them, right? So then I can, like give inputs to improve their research design, or what are the gaps in the research design, rather than, they are going to the field and conducting the work and coming back. If it has been a flawed research design, and then that will be problematic. So before going to the field, and when is the last date for submission?
Last date for submission has some time, ma'am. It has 3 weeks more than the last date of this presentation of the fellowship. I'll just let me just.
It's
Yeah,
January
date.
12th
Huh?
for paper submission.
What is it?
January 12th.
January 12th. That means we have something about a 1.5 months, right? November, December, January, right? November end, right?
Ma'am, I think there's a draft research proposal, sorry, research article submission on 22nd of December, I think.
22nd of December, right?
First
So
draft.
that means you have already only 1 month right now,
Yeah.
So then, like that, we are basically trying to make them understand the basic of research and how to do the research, right? So now, once by the end, because I will be in Delhi, one thing, like next Priyanka, 27, 28, 29th, I'm in Delhi. So the next week I'm not there.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm coming for an international conference there, so I'm not there in Bombay. So I won't be able to. I will also speak with Arjun if I can meet with him, when I'm there. So 27, 28, 29, I'm not there. So if we can have, if once I'm coming back on 29th, what is December 1st and 2nd date? 2nd, I'm fully occupied with December. What is December 1st, 2nd or something like that?
December 1st is Sunday, ma'am, and December 2nd, Monday.
Yeah. So the December 1st, if they submit with a thing, like three months, like 3 hours, if I, like there is no need for the Zoom call.
Okay.
I can have a telephonic conversation with each one of them. And then
Okay.
if they submit it before that, then I need to go through it. And then if I can have, the research design, which saying about the review of literature they are reading, and then the methodology they are using, and the research questions, and then the theoretical concepts and the conceptual mapping. Only this. We don't have to go, like so much more detail for this the courses. That is, we need to limit our, expectations also, but then that should be, like whatever be the limited expectation, that would be, good and understandable. So if we can have, like student, can I send you a template, Priyanka, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
I will send you a template right now, and then you please give them. And if we also have a WhatsApp group, the people have just now, I will send you the template, by the end of the day today, I will send it to you, and then you can send them. And if the participants have any doubt on the template, they can post the questions in the WhatsApp, anyone. Then within 1 day, I will respond to the WhatsApp message through a voice message. Is it clear to all of you?
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, so far it's before the December 1st. December 1st, you'll be having telephonic conversation with everybody. Before that, they have to submit the extended abstract, right?
Abstract, and I will send you the template for that.
And template for the abstract. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they can go the field study and submit it.
Yes. And December 12th and December 19th. December 19th is the last day of the running fellowship. That is the last day of any class that will happen. And 2 days we have scheduled for the presentations.
Right.
Yes, and the presentations are that whatever their project is, they have to just creatively, howsoever they want to present it, they can. It can also be a progress report on what they are doing so far, or
Yes. So,
yes.
see, I really would, like that even this time is, I'm also having a very hectic schedules because of, our semester ending at Tata Institute, and all my PhD students and MPhil, MA dissertation students are also working. And
Yes,
this is a
ma'am.
time where we have to schedule. So this is a very, very hectic period. But I would like also to give considerable time. That is what I'm choosing Sunday, even if I have to work on Sundays, right? It's fine. But then we are going for the next Sunday, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
See, all of you, then take it very seriously. And, I know that all of you are very, very serious about it. And so IMPRI team is also very committed to reciprocate to your the way in which you are approaching. IMPRI team is also committed. So we are giving from the IMPRI side, we are also saying that, okay, now we will also work, reciprocate how much serious you are. IMPRI team also reciprocate the same seriousness. Is that okay? Fine?
Yes, ma'am. I think it's clear.
Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear with everyone? Any doubts, participants? Hello, participants, any doubt? Hello?
No, ma'am, not for now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for the very informative and engaging talk. Are there any other questions?
Not a question, just mentioning that Adarshi, we are yet to receive the title of your paper. And Bhagyashree ji, if you could send the abstract and the title of your paper by tomorrow evening to learning@impri@gmail.com, it would be great.
Astaba, can we ask them that since we'll be sharing the template for extended abstract itself, that if they are unable to send us the shorter form of the abstract, they could directly send the extended one
Yes,
with the title and everything, right?
the title is required for the letter of support they were asking for,
Yes.
which is the reason we would need it short.
Yes, yes. Then in that case, if Bhagyashree ji, if you are going to conduct, or Adarsh ji, if you're going to conduct, if you're going to need letter of support, then you have to send us the title. Okay, that's it. I think we'll reach out to them personally also. Thank you. Meenu, you can take the head.
Sure, thank you. So as we come to the end of the session today of UPLGYF, Urban Policy and Local Governance Youth Fellowship, an online national autumn and winter school program, a 4-month online immersive introductory leadership certificate training fellowship program. I, Meenu, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, would like to propose the formal vote of thanks on behalf of IMPRI, New Delhi. We're grateful for the expert of the day, Professor Manjula Bharathy, for taking out the valuable time and allowing us to learn from this online certificate program. We thank all our participants who have raised pertinent questions and participated in today's celebration, and we look forward to welcoming you on November 28th for day 9 of the certification course. If you're watching us later on YouTube or listening to us on our various podcasts or reading our publications, we hope you continue to join in the future to our #webpolicy talk and #webpolicy learning. Wishing you a good day. Thank you.